Actor Clifton Powell said he ain't taking that shit from Hollywood. And after what he said in this video, I don't blame him. Let's get into it.
And speaking of that, right, I want to backtrack to your comments about skin tone. I heard that she was up for a big role in a big TV movie, but you didn't get the role because of your skin tone? The Rudy Bridges story?
Well, basically what happened was the producers told the director, whose name was Usman Palsy, that I was so dark that it looked like I would scare everyone. So they wouldn't hire me. And that's what happened on that. I haven't spoken on it, but I'm going to put it in my book. And basically that's what happened. So her, who's African and French, and a white producer whose name I can't remember, said, Mr. Powell, you are our first choice. If you don't get this role, it's not because we didn't fight for you. But that's happened to me on a McDonald's commercial. One of my friends was the producer and the agency, and the agency thought I was just too dark. You got to understand, I tell people, like I told my panel last night, there was an article years ago, I'm not sure if it was in Esquire magazine, that talked about Black Hollywood, white Hollywood. And there's an article in there by Wesley Snipes, white agent from CAA, that sent Wesley in for a role. And this is documented. And they called him and said, don't send anybody darker than Denzel. Racism permeates, and it's not the same anymore, because we've seen, really dark-skinned actresses and dark-skinned actors. But you got to understand, if Obama was my complexion, he wouldn't have been president.
Yeah, same thing I said. Same thing another comedian said. If Obama would have been Bernie Mac black, we wouldn't have had a black president. But how you guys feel about it? Let's continue.
You know what I'm saying? I still get followed around stores. I mean, I ride first class. I was in first class one time, and this guy kicked my seat. And I stood up and I said, would you have kicked my seat if I was a white boy? Because there's all kinds of different people in the world that like, what is this doing flying first class with us up here? I'm like, I make more money than all of y'all in first class. So you got to understand, still people like that in the world. It's people like that in this business. I did a TV series, which I am not going to say, but some of the Teamsters were Klan members. This is real. It's real. I don't take any shit from anybody that's racist, sexist, or anything.
And them was facts. We can't escape racism for nothing, especially us black folks. I'm talking about the black folks that was like already here, that didn't come from Africa, but don't hold me on that. Talk about it in the comments, but let's continue.
Period. And I can tell you a billion stories, and I'm never going to take it. Period. I encountered some racism on New York Undercover. And the sound man, he was trying to put the mic in my hair. I had a scarf. I was playing this little thug guy, and I had a head wrap like Tupac used to wear. And I told the sound guy, I said, sir, I don't want to run the wire up in my hair because I'm going to be rolling on the ground. Maybe I was being a little overprotective, but I could choke. Freak accidents happen in this business all the time. There was a girl, let me tell you this story, on Vampire in Brooklyn. Black stunt lady jumping off a building. Her first jump was successful. Her family was there. The second jump, somebody adjusted the mat. Go look this story up. She jumped, hit the mat, and bounced into the wall and died instantly. Yeah. So as I was talking to the sound man, now on a lot of the African-American shows back in the day, all the writers, producers were white. You may have one or two black folks there. I don't deal with racism very well because I grew up in Washington, D.C., and I grew up with good white folks and a million black people. So it's one of my triggers. So I told the sound guy, I said, I don't want to put the wire in my hair. So he turned to me and looked me in my eye. He said, I tell you what, then, why don't you do your sound in post? You know what that means?
No, I don't. No, sir.
What that means is, why don't you do the show while you're here this week, and then you let them fly you back in and then put your sound in. I said, no problem. So I called the first AD and I said, I think your sound man is a racist. He said, well, what happened, Mr. Powell? I said, well, I was telling him I wanted to put the mic either on my leg or behind my back and put the wire up in my shirt somewhere. And he told me to do mine in post. So he said, don't worry, I'll talk to him, Mr. Powell. So I assumed that he talked to him. I got back after lunch. I had to go to sound, same sound guy. I said, sir, like I said before, I don't want to put the wire in my hair. And then he said, what did I tell you? He might have said, boy. He said, boy, what did I tell you before? And I stepped back and I said, let me tell you something, bro. I will knock the out of you on this set.
And I definitely agree. He got his ass kicked. We ain't playing that, man. Come on, man. It's 2025. Racism still exists. I mean, I get it. We all probably a little racist in our own little way. But come on, man. Not in this environment. Not at this magnitude. Let's continue.
And any one of you white boys got a problem with me, I'll fight every one of you motherfuckers. Period. And I went to my trailer. And I called my manager and I said, I'm leaving. She said, what's the problem? And I said, what the problem? She said, well, Cliff, you're in New York. I said, I don't give a where I am. So the producer called me. He said, what is the problem? I said, this is the problem. Your sound man is a racist. He told me to do my sound in post. I said, so this is what I'm prepared to do. I'm prepared to give you back your hotel money, your flight money, and I'm flying out as soon as I get out of my trailer. He says, Mr. Powell, give me a minute and we'll get you right, because I had the wrong trailer. They put me in a honey wagon. SAG regulates this. So I'm supposed to get everything I'm supposed to get as per SAG. The next day I had a brand new trailer and nobody in the crew talked to me. I did my week and I left. Dr. King said, a man can't ride your back unless it's bent. Period. And that's
powerful. Woo! Powerful. Man can't ride your back unless it's bent. Man. Let's continue. That's enough right there. Let's continue.
That's how I approach this business. I try to be amiable. I try to be cool. But I'm also a young man that has worked his ass off to get everything I have. I try to be pleasant. I don't believe in any of the isms, but you're not going to punk me. It's never going to happen. I will die first. And that's just how I feel. And if people are listening, please try to understand. It's a lot of sexism in this business. It's still a lot of racism, much better than it was. And I'm not going to bash Hollywood, because Hollywood is a microcosm of what's going on in the world right now. I'm just not that guy. And I'm never going to be that guy. And so I've lost work because of it. I've been fired because of it. I've walked off of sets because of it. And that's just the way it's going to be. And that's how I operate. And I'm not bragging. I'm not boasting. I just try to come to work and do my job. Period.
Because that's all we can do, baby. Come to work, do our job, and go home. Let's continue.
I had a McDonald's commercial. There's two black. Simon, the guy wanted me to be a coon. It's the same. Being a coon and being blocked is the same thing to me. You know, when they fire you, because it's not like I sat down and tried to talk to this guy about Harlem. He'd never heard of Harlem, really. I said, do you know you want me to make fun of Harlem, which historically is one of the most exclusive African-American enclaves in the world, where black entertainers couldn't go downtown, so they had to stay in Harlem. Central Avenue in Los Angeles, you have the black hotels. The black entertainers couldn't go to the white places, so they had to stay in Central Avenue. And then they came in and tore Central Avenue apart. You know, I'm not going to make fun of Harlem. Harlem may not look like the Harlem of yesteryear, but Harlem has a lot of historical references and history. And then I did the Langston Hughes poem. I said, have you dug the spill of Sugar Hill? Cast your gems on the sepia thrill. Brown sugar lassie, caramel treat, honey gold, baby. That's Langston Hughes talking about Harlem. And you want me as a woke black man to come on your show and make fun of Harlem? I'm not doing that. And I walked off. You know, so, you know, I'm sure I've lost other jobs because they thought I might have been too strong or too masculine. I don't know. I don't spend a lot of time analyzing. I just know what I'm going to do. And I don't want to come across like I'm a gangster or a thug. I'm just a real man who stands up for his rights. That's what I am. And I'm always going to be that way.
You heard him. You heard exactly what it said. Do you agree with him? Because I sure do. How do you feel about it? Leave it in the comment section, man. I'm going to be reacting to every comment that I see. Let's talk about this one right here. This is the KMHP TV YouTube channel. If you like what you see, you already know what to do. Till the next video, I'ma holla. Out.